Hi, I'm Betsy, and this is my helper, Ellie. We just bought a 2018 Ram ProMaster 1500 cargo van. We plan to convert it to a camper van for fun getaways and adventures. Come along with us on this journey.
This video is going to be a little bit different than the others because it's about electrical, and I don't know anything about electrical, so I hired someone to help me. And being a good apprentice, I was doing everything I was told, but I forgot to videotape some of the basics. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the basics, what I had to do while I was doing the wiring. Then I'm going to show you the end result of the electrical system so you see where everything ended up. And then I'll show you how we did the wiring so it will all make sense in the end. I am not an electrician. For the electrical, we hired someone to help us as we were not comfortable doing this job. This worked for us, but you have to do what works for you. There are many tools to help you educate yourself on electrical systems. For example, Blue Sea has many online tools to determine wire gauge based on amps and wire distance. The amps of the appliances can be found in the owner's manual or technical specs. For us, the wire gauge we used for our build was 14. The connectors we used to connect the wire with the device's wiring were male and female quick connects with heat shrink ends. The connector used to the fuse box was a ring terminal that is secured by a screw. When connecting the wire to the device's wiring, I made sure to have a male and a female connector on the black wire and the same on the red wire. In our install, I would insert the wire into the connector, crimp it, give it a good tug to make sure it's secure, then use a heat gun or lighter to activate the heat shrink end so it would seal around the cable and provide a secure, moisture-resistant seal. I did the same thing with the wire connected to the fuse box, but used a ring terminal. The connectors are color-coded to match the gauge of the wire. Yellow is 10 to 12 gauge, blue is 16 to 14 gauge, and pink is 18 to 22 gauge. All of the connectors I used were blue since our wiring is 14 gauge. This worked for us because our electrical needs were extremely basic with low amps. You have to determine what is needed for your system. For the fuse box, we used a Blue Sea that has 12 slots. We're using only 6 of those slots, but we have room to expand if we want to. We knew how many devices we would connect, and we made sure our fuse box could accommodate them all. So here's the completed system. We have the 2 lights in the back that run off of this switch. So we have 2 lights back there on a dimmer. So it's nice if you just need light in the bedroom. It's right next to you. You just turn it. Here's the thermostat for the Propex heater, which is right down here. So that's very convenient. This light switch, which also has a dimmer, this light switch is for the kitchen. The kitchen and living area. So you can see they dim. They go up. It's very nice. And then, of course, the MaxxAir fan. And we have a USB port that's also that runs off the battery, where we can charge our phones. We have a Dometic fridge, which also doubles as a seat for us. So the fridge, it's not very big, but we don't need a very big one. This is a 12-volt fridge. There's plenty of room in here. And we keep it plugged in all the time, and the battery does a great job running it. So the Kodiak battery, it's a lithium-ion battery. It only weighs 20 pounds. It has its own inverter, so you can run 110. You can also run a 30 amp. I guess people could plug in their small camper and run it. But if you want to run anything that's on a 110, you just press that button and it will power the 110. This also shows you how much juice you have in the battery, and it's all the way full. We don't have to push that thing in because we run everything off of 12 volt Everything in the van is 12 volt, and that all comes through the fuse box. Comes in here. So if we ever want to take the battery into the house to juice it up, which you can do, or take it in to run things in the house, if you had some power outage, you just unplug these two things and unplug its power source and just take it in the house. It's really easy to move around. Right now, it's plugged into the solar panel. So if I unplug this, this is the cord that we keep plugged into the 12 volt in the back of the van. And while we're running the vehicle down the road, we keep it plugged into that. And it charges it very nicely. It charges it faster than the solar panels. We have two 100 watt solar panels. They do a great job charging it, but if you really want to juice it up faster and we're going down the road, we just plug it into the van. So it's as easy as just swapping out the plugs. This battery, I think it cost around $1,000. So it's not something you want to have sitting there so somebody can look through the window and say, hey, that looks like a great thing to steal. So we had a little cover made that matches the seat cushion, and we have Velcro, and we just put it up like that. So it just looks like it's all one nice big continuous fabric. And if Ellie's not on the job being guard dog, then the cover will take care of it. I'm at Overland Van Project, and they're helping me do the propane and electrical, and this is what the electrical will be. So I'm running wires as they've told me to do. So I'm just waiting for Dustin to get back so he can put this all together. So it looks like a bit of a tangled mess right now, but we'll have the Propex heater will be down there. Propane tank will be there. So we'll have a thermostat, USB charging station, and dimmer switches for the two puck lights that'll go there. There'll be two more puck lights there with a dimmer switch there. And then the Maxxair fan will just be wired. Everything should be going into a fuse box that then goes into the Kodiak solar generator. So we'll have solar panels, flexible Windy Nation solar panels up top, and then the running through, and then also the Kodiak battery can charge off the 12 volt in the van. Alright, so Dustin of Overland Van Projects is putting the Windy Nation panels up here for us. And so he's putting Sikaflex down to hold down, what is that stuff?
These are an expanded PVC as a furring strip, so that the panel has a nice air gap and it's more efficient.
Nice.
Otherwise they get too hot and they don't really work very well. So we put each furring strip on with some Sikaflex and then push it down to squeeze it out so it spreads across the whole strip. Then we're going to put a bead on top of each one and lay the panel down over top. So in the end, they'll look like just like that. Nice air gap underneath. Wind can travel underneath, but it's still not going to pick it up. So I'm just putting on the MC4 connectors. We have to clip off the ends so that we can get through the roof, through the solar entry port. And now we're just hooking those back in so that we can then hook into the Kodiak through this. So those will just connect like this. That. And that. And right now we should be getting power.
That sounded like it did something. We're getting power.
Let's see if it has a readout.
Cool.
Look at that.
Nice.
Let's see what's going on there. Let's see, 12 volts. Getting some amperage.
Alright, so we got the wires coming in from the solar panel. Got all the wires hanging everywhere.
Wires hanging everywhere.
And now I'm going to figure out where to put the fuse box and hook it all up to the battery. Got the fuse box up. All the wires coming through. Fuse box we're connecting two 12-volt connectors. All of the wiring will go into the fuse box, and then the 12-volt connectors will go there into the Kodiak. And we're going to put a 12-volt right here to plug the refrigerator into. So everything is going to go through the fuse box so that we can just easily unplug the 12-volt connections and take the battery out. So the red's down here, the black's up here. So with each of these, I put the red down here and the black up there. That's positive, that's negative. Alright, so you're putting in the fuses, and those fuses have the amps listed on them.
Yep.
And it ties into the way that we've wired it. So we got the rear lights, front lights, the fridge, fan, and propane monitor, USB, and Propex heater.
Boom.
Alright.
Now all we gotta do, these guys,
Yep.
and you'll have power.
But what are we powering?
Right now, no.
A bunch of
Oh,
wires.
your fan will come on.
Oh, cool. Alright. So this is the Blu-Tack,
Blue Sea.
Blue Sea.
Yeah. There we go. Fan on. When you just when you plug it in, because this is positive and
Yeah.
these are negative,
Ah,
you want to make sure that you just go directly in.
okay.
And then once it's there, it'll just slide in. It's not a big.
So now we think the fan will work.
Yep.
So
Everything's press and hold with these.
yay!
Crank it up. You can crank up the speed. Press and hold.
Just use drywall screws to put up panels. This is the template for the support for the ceiling. What we're doing now is working on the ceiling panels. So first there's a board up here that will be the support that is level with this rib, so it'll be able to be screwed in under here. So what occurred was measurements were taken from the center of the rib to the center of the next rib, and then from side to side the panels were cut, and we're using a 5mm, it's a mahogany veneer plywood. So we'll be putting the panel, the Reflectix, and the wool as far as the layers, and we'll be cutting holes for all the puck lights to come through, and then we'll be cutting the hole for the MaxxAir fan. So we have to put up the panels one at a time and then scribe them to get them to fit.
Okay. This one sits there. We like it. It's good. Okay, so that was ready.
So we're dry fitting the ceiling right now, notching it, cutting it, and we decided on silver screws. So these are just lathe screws, I think is what he called them, for attaching lathe to wood or metal. So when he screws them in, it's just a bit of brute strength. So right now we're just cutting around those styrofoam pieces because allegedly they help with any minimize roof crumpling in a rollover. So we're keeping them. So just put them up, took them all down, drilling holes for the lights.
Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you with your project.